Part 5 of The Christmas Angel. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Jan McGillivray. The Christmas Angel by Abby Farwell Brown. Chapter 13. The Christmas Candle. Suddenly there was a sound, a dull, reverberating sound. It seemed to Miss Terry to come from neither north, south, east, nor west, but from a different world. Ah! She recognized it now. It was somebody knocking on the library door. Miss Terry gave a long sigh and drew herself up in her chair. "It must be Norah just come back," she said to herself. "I had forgotten Norah completely. It must be shockingly late. Come in!" she called, as she glanced at the clock. She rubbed her eyes and looked again. A few minutes after 9! She had thought it must be midnight. Norah entered to find her mistress staring at the mantel where the clock stood. She saw lying beside the clock the pink angel which had fallen from the box as she brought it in, the box now empty by the fire. "Law, miss," she said, "have you burned them all up but him? I'm glad you saved him. He's so pretty." "Norah," said Miss Terry with an effort, "is that clock right?" "Yes'm," said Norah. "I set it this morning. I came back as soon as I could, miss," she added apologetically. "It isn't that," answered Miss Terry, drawing her hand across her forehead dazedly. "I did not mind your absence, but I thought it must be later." "Oh, no, I wouldn't stay out any later when you was alone here, miss," said Norah penitently. "I felt ashamed after I had gone. I ought not to have left you so on Christmas Eve. But, oh, miss, the singing was so beautiful, and the houses looked so grand with the candles in the windows. It is like a holy night indeed." Miss Terry stooped and picked up something from the floor. It was the bit of candle end which had escaped the Holocaust. "Are the candles still lighted, Norah?" she asked, eyeing the bit of wax in her hand. "Yes'm, some of them," answered the maid. "It is getting late, and a good many have burned out, but some houses are still as bright as ever." "Perhaps it is not too late, then," murmured Miss Terry, as if yielding a disputed point. "Let us hurry, Norah." She rose and going to the mantel shelf gently took up the figure of the Angel, while Norah looked on in amazement. "Norah," said Miss Terry, with an eagerness which made her voice tremble, "I want you to hang the Christmas Angel in the window there. I, too, have a fancy to burn a candle to-night. If it is not too late, I'd like to have a little share in the Christmas spirit." Norah's eyes lighted. "Oh, yes'm," she said. "I'll hang it right away, and I'll find an empty spool to hold the candle." She bustled briskly about, and presently in the window appeared a little device unlike any other in the block. Against the darkness within, the figure of the Angel, with arms outstretched towards the street, shone in a soft light from the flame of a single tiny candle, such as blossom on Christmas trees. It caught the attention of many home-goers, who said, smiling, "How simple! How pretty! How quaint! It is a type of the Christmas spirit which is abroad to-night. You can feel it everywhere, blessing the city." For some minutes before the candle was lighted, a man muffled in a heavy overcoat had been standing in a doorway opposite Miss Terry's house. He was tall and grizzled, and his face was sad. He stared up at the gloomy windows, the only oblongs of blackness in the illuminated block, and he shivered, shrugging his shoulders. "The same as ever," he said to himself. "I might have known she would never change. Anyone else on Christmas Eve after the letter I wrote her would have softened a little. But I might have known. She is hard as nails. Of course it was my fault in the first place to leave her as I did. But when I acknowledged it, and when I wrote that letter on Christmas Eve, I thought Angelina might feel differently." He looked at his watch. "Nearly 9:30, he muttered. "I may as well go home. She said she wanted to be let alone, that Christmas meant nothing to her. I don't dare to call on my only sister. I suppose she is there all alone, and here I am all alone too. What a pity! If I saw the least sign—" Just then there was the spark of a match against the darkness framed in by the window opposite. A hand and arm shone in the flicker of light across the upper sash. A tiny spark, tremulous at first, like a bird alighting on a frail branch, paused, steadied, and became fixed. In the light of a small taper the man caught a glimpse of a pale, long face in a frame of silver hair. It faded into the background. But above the candle he now saw, with arms outstretched, as it seemed toward himself, a pink little angel with gauzy wings. The man's heart gave a leap. Sudden memories thronged his brain, making him almost dizzy. At last they formulated into one smothered cry. "The Christmas Angel! It is the very same pink angel that Angelina and I used to hang on our Christmas tree!" In 3 great leaps, like a schoolboy, he crossed the street and ran up the steps of number 87. The Christmas Angel seemed to smile with ineffable sweetness as he gave the bell a vigorous pull. Chapter 14. Tom. Miss Terry was leaning on the mantel-shelf looking into the fire, when the bell pealed furiously. She started and turned pale. "Lord a mercy!" ejaculated Nora, who was still admiring the effect of the window decoration. "What's that? Who can be calling here tonight making such a noise?" "Go to the door, Nora," said Miss Terry with a strange note in her voice. "It may be someone to see me. It is not too late." "Yes'm," said Nora, obedient but bewildered. Presently the library door opened and a figure strode in, a tall, broad-shouldered man in a fur overcoat. For a moment he stood just inside the door, hesitating. Miss Terry took 2 steps forward from the fireplace. "Tom," she said faintly. "You came, after all." "After all, Angelina," he said. "Yes, because I saw that." He waved his hand toward the window. "That gave me courage to come in. It is our Christmas Angel. I remember all about it. Does it mean anything, Angelina?" Miss Terry held out a moment longer. Then she faltered forward. "Oh, Tom!" she sobbed, as she felt his brotherly strong arms about her. "Oh, Tom! And so he has brought you back to me, and me to you." "He? Angelina girl, who?" He smoothed her silver hair with rough, kind fingers. "Why, the Christmas Angel. Our guardian angel, Tom. All these years I kept him in the play box, and I was going to burn him up. But I couldn't do it, Tom. How wonderful it is!" They sat down before the fire, and she began to tell him the whole story. But she interrupted herself to send for Nora, who came to her mystified and half scandalized by the greeting which she had seen those 2 oldsters exchange. "This is my brother Tom, Nora, who has come back," she said. "I believe it is not too late to make some preparation for Christmas Day. The stores will still be open. Run out and order things for a grand occasion, Nora. And, oh, Nora!" A sudden remembrance came to her. "If you have time, will you please get some toys and pretty things such as a little girl would like? A little girl of about 10, with my complexion. I mean, with yellow hair and blue eyes. We may have a little guest to morrow.